Hello everyone, I'm at Kechara Forest Retreat, Bentong, Malaysia. This is the book, here. This is the book that I'll be reading from, Unleashing Buddhanature, Personal Accounts by Those Touched and Reformed through the Teachings of His Eminence the 25th Sam Rinpoche. I'll be continuing on from the personal account of Datuk Ruby Kong, and it will be on page 50. So here you go, a picture of her when she was the president of Kechara Soup Kitchen. Okay, or so I thought. And this is her account after she finished the project at Manjusri Hill. So now starting on page 50. Or so I thought. As I showed Rinpoche the newly finished Manjusri Hill, he suddenly pointed to a half-completed building standing on a plot of land nearby and told me that I should oversee the completion of the prayer hall being constructed there. What about my holiday? I wailed in my head. However, I did not dare to argue. I asked Rinpoche how much time I had. 6 weeks, he replied. My knees almost gave way. A shorter time to construct a prayer hall, which would be over 3 times the size of what we built at Manjusri Hill? Impossible. I tried to ask for an extension. Rinpoche then turned to face me with a stern expression. Ruby, even with your spirituality you want to bargain, he said. I surrendered under that firm gaze. 6 weeks later, I brought Rinpoche on a tour of the finished building, an 18,000 square foot wisdom hall that sits 700 people. Ultimately, the Kechara Soup Kitchen presidency and the construction projects trained me to be out of my comfort zone. I was like Buzz Lightyear in the movie Toy Story, who thought that if he opened his spacesuit's helmet, the air would kill him. Like Buzz, I did not want to take any chances in case I could not survive it. I kept myself in a helmet, my comfort zone. Rinpoche, however, showed me how wrong I was. The projects he skillfully assigned proved to me that I could swim in uncharted waters. More importantly, my success could inspire others to do the same. Leaving one's comfort zone is something that Rinpoche's students have gotten used to doing, because there is no comfort when he manifests wrathful disciplinary methods on his students who don't. These methods are essentially a necessity for the form of Buddhism we practice, which is called the Vajrayana or Tantrayana tradition. This school is the swiftest way to achieve enlightenment, a sort of spiritual shortcut, if you will. However, this means that our negative karma has to be purified quickly, and a high lama's wrathful manifestation can achieve that effect, besides keeping us on the right path. Some may call these methods drastic, but just imagine Nirvana as the peak of Mount Everest. The different schools of Buddhism all lead to that peak, but the Vajrayana journey takes the shortest amount of time. This also means it's more demanding. If I am fit, my journey will be easier. However, if I am the spiritual equivalent of an obese person, I would need to go through some pretty grueling training to succeed on the Vajrayana journey. Rinpoche's methods, therefore, are always skillfully directed at students who are egoistical, stubborn, or other of the illusion that they know better. While I do understand this, it does not make it any easier to swallow. Hence, I try not to incur the need for my guru to use these methods on me. 3 years ago, however, it was my turn. While visiting the almost completed offices at Manjusri Hill, Rinpoche discovered that the roof was leaking. That should not have happened, as the roof was newly built. In front of a group of other Kechara directors, Rinpoche started scolding me for my incompetence while a torrential rain raged outside. I wasn't sure which was worse, the humiliation of being in the hot seat of Rinpoche's wrath or my exhaustion while being scolded for many hours. At about 4 a.m., however, we started receiving text messages from other people in Kachara Forest Retreat. Apparently, the rain had caused severe landslides at the slopes around the area. When we finally left Manjusri Hill, we were shocked to see how badly the hill had eroded. Any worse and Manjusri Hill would have collapsed, taking those of us inside with it. It was then that I realized two things. Firstly, Rinpoche's wrath on me as the project leader of Manjusri Hill was intended to make me suffer, losing faith and sleep, and this purified my negative karma, thus lessening the damage on the hill. Secondly, I could no longer ignore Rinpoche's insistence to reinforce Manjusri Hill. He told us, your protector can only hold up this hill for a while. When your karma takes over, even he cannot stop it. Prior to that incident, I had been reluctant to carry on with the reinforcements because it would have cost millions, an amount we could scarcely afford. The erosion, however, drove us to work doubly hard to seek sponsorship. We were eventually able to secure the slope. Rinpoche's wrathful methods are tough for the ones being scolded, but the audience does not have it easy either. If a student is particularly set in his or her ways, the sessions can go on for many hours, even days. As spectators, we have to fight hunger, sleep deprivation, and body aches as we sit and watch Rinpoche try his best to help a student transform their unrepentant minds. Plans with family and friends would have to be cancelled as the sessions took longer than expected. However, that is all part of the plan. Rinpoche wants his students to see for themselves how their actions have directly and indirectly caused others to suffer. Sometimes it is hard to remember this. At one point, I was burnt out from these extended sit-ins, and my relationship with friends was strained due to my frequent cancellation of plans. It was all becoming too much for me to bear, and I told Rinpoche that I planned to leave Kachara. Rinpoche had tears of compassion in his eyes. He said, Ruby, if I could fast forward time and show all of you the conditions you will face after you die, you will all be so terrified that you will become very obedient students. What we have to endure now is insignificant compared to what we would have to suffer if we did not apply the teachings and change our state of mind, he explained. The purpose of the long sessions was not only to correct misbehaving students, but also to train the observers to let go of the habit of serving only their own needs. I realized that Rinpoche was willing to risk relationships and his reputation in order to keep us on the right path. Seeing the extent of Rinpoche's love for us made me change my mind about leaving the organization. These days, I no longer want to give up on my spiritual training. In fact, I'm driven to go further on my journey because my children are journeying with me. Inspiring them to take up the Dharma path is my biggest achievement, but my work does not stop here. I have to keep improving myself, and with my Rinpoche's guidance, I will. That was Datuk Ruby Kong's sharing, and that's the end of her story. So as I mentioned in my previous sharing that Rinpoche always sets tasks for us to complete. And as Datuk Ruby had shared that sometimes, we do hit a roadblock in our minds of whether to carry out what Rinpoche has requested us to, such as reinforcing the Manjusri Hill. And as such, you see, Rinpoche is a highly attained being who has the foresight, of knowing things that may happen. And as such, he will always, set tasks for us to do. And if we don't, then of course, unfavorable results may happen, such as the collapsing of the hill, the landslides during that heavy rain, which really opened up Datuk Ruby's eyes as to what could happen if Rinpoche had not stepped in by giving her a rough time to change her mind. So, as such, she had cleared her karma, and she was able to understand that reinforcing the hill is very important, and as such, we still have Manjusri Hill as of today. Otherwise, heavy rain would have brought it down on the from the hill. Okay, so thank you for sharing your time with me, and I will end this with a completion dedication in Tibetan. Chẳng dù sinh dù Rinpoche mà cái panam cái shi cái panam pa me pa yang gone gondo pe wa shu to ni to Rinpoche mà cái panam cái shi cái panam pa me pa yang gone gondo pe wa shu da so ji ni sa pa ge wa di tanan ro wa guna ka padang je pa je so no san tra pai tam ping in porin du sa se sho ke wa kun to yan da la ma da tra mi chu ki pa la no chu ching sa dam nang yi te ra zo ni do ji chang ngo pa ngo tu so ge wa di nyu du da la ma sang yu dro yo ne dro wa chi ka ma lu pa de sa la ko pa shu choki ka pusungapa chosunampa pewala geki samasi wadang tungki malu sangwasho dadam sengi dusundang drewe songi latene gewala sandrapai tampayu riva gyushi ni modele sendele ni migunyandele shi ni sindatu dele pa koncho sungi jingilo koncho sungi ngodroso koncho sungi trasi sho jesu nami kusunap jingching nama kutrini chochu ke padang lo samtempe dromi sapsungi droem mun sa tato ni gyu shi gang ri ra we ko we shin kam de pen nan de wa ma lu gyo we ne chen ren se wan ten sing get so yi cha pe shi ri ba du de gyu shi hom tung pe ngo tru ma lo pa ne ne da la sau du so ko dan den pa long chot no ke pa so shik shuk ten sel. Thank you, and please do join me as I continue on to share on another student's account of their experience with our Guru, His Eminence the 25th, Sam Rinpoche.